Some discussions may touch on legal and tax topics, but nothing contained in these episodes should be considered tax or legal advice. David and I are not accountants nor licensed attorneys. Please consult with your tax and legal professionals for advice on your own unique situations.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever edition of the Did It Close podcast, Apartment After Hours. Today, we're joined by our very special guest. Will be a reoccurring guest, Reid Bennett out of Chicago. So, Reid, I know David and myself have introduced ourselves in the past. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend. Where are you sitting? What are you doing? What are you into? And probably most importantly, how did we get this group of three together to actually opine on apartments?
This is After Hours, so we're going to talk about what we're into in the after.
You can take it wherever you want, my friend.
That's it. Well, I'm currently sitting in this is my home office in Chicago. I started in apartments in 2001 in the city of Chicago, in the neighborhoods, going up and down the streets, and databasing everything from 12 units and above. The walk-ups, as you're familiar with, Bryan. I don't know, Dirk, if you have that many 1925 corner walk-ups or courtyard buildings. That's what I started selling in 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the condo bust was over. And then we got into apartment complexes in the Midwest. Actually, Dirk was my coach when I first hired Massimo in 2018. I know it's pre-pandemic. That's how I judge everything now, is pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. And then after a couple years, came on as a coach, and it's been fun. It's been fun to hang out and talk to guys like you.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I heard you. And who do I know, but who do you work for?
So I'm the National Council Chair of Multifamily for a company called SVN. And I've been in this position for about 12 years. I've been with them since 2008. So I don't jump around a lot like some other people.
I don't know that I realized you'd been doing this since 2001.
By the way, Reid.
You didn't realize what?
I didn't know you've been doing this since 2001. That's even longer than me.
Yeah, that's when I got my license. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I was barely out of high school.
That's funny. That's hilarious. Yeah, and I was sitting here getting this chair ready, and I had my arm back like this, and it reminded me I had an interview back in the day, because I worked at a boutique. It was a dinosaur brokerage, right? I was the youngest by like 25 years in my office. I was the first to get a computer, and we typed up our listing agreements on that paper that you could have the carbon copy when I first started, right? So there was I started closing some deals and having some small success first few years. And I remember this a local national brokerage firm called me up, and I won't name any names, but it started with an M. And the guy had,
what did it end with?
a P. And so the guy had me come in. He's no longer with us, so I could talk about him. But he came in, and the interview was him, like, leaning over the back of his chair going, how much you make? How much you make last year? And, I think I doubled whatever I made. And he's like, that's nothing. That's nothing. You come over here where, you're going to make way more than that. We're going to crush your company. So I don't know. I'm getting off on a tangent.
Did you go over there?
No, did not.
Okay.
Well, actually, so I had a couple things, because this is the After Hours is unscripted, kind of, as so I know we did, but I had a couple ideas, and actually I think you hit on actually one of the first ideas I had, Reid. It just kind of it's kind of funny, is we all know each other. Dirk was my coach when I started Massimo. So Dirk,
we're all three coaches.
Yeah, you're like the father of the group, right?
Well, he's the godfather.
I was thinking that earlier. I was going to say it. You stole it.
Yeah, but kind of it's some fun stuff to talk about. Why, when we all first met, right? We were all different shops. I know, now Dirk and I are at the same shop, but I think one of the things about Massimo that's interesting, right, is we're fairly collaborative even across platforms, which doesn't necessarily occur, to your point, kind of, right, Reid? So it's like what is it about brokerage? I mean, obviously it's a full contact sport. It's a competitive environment, right? And I think very few collaborate. So I just kind of like I don't know. I guess kind of what have you guys seen in your different markets of like people actually collaborating across platforms and brokerages, and how that's helped, and where it's maybe been a hindrance.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that. I mean, when I first started, nobody co-broked in our office. I mean, it was a loss if you had a cooperating broker in our, in the office I started with. They called it commission leakage if there had to be a cooperating broker on the other side. So I was raised in the business to hold everything, to the vest and to not share it. We didn't put it on, well, there weren't websites at that time. We didn't send it out by honing pigeon or anything like that. So, I mean, that's what I knew and learned from the very beginning. And it was a dual agency situation, which, if anybody has taken the real estate broker's license, that's all they talk about is how bad dual agency is. We no longer do dual agency at all. We do no agency. But until I joined the firm that I'm in 2008, they were all about a culture of collaboration. And you were there, Bryan, for a while, where it was like, it's starting to collaborate with other brokers around the country. And I think what works best for us is if we're in different markets, it's a lot easier to collaborate. If we were sitting in the same market, where the same players and everybody, I can pick up the phone and call the top 10 people in the market, right now.
More of a dog eat dog.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a different story. We probably wouldn't be collaborating as much, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. I agree. What's interesting is you talked about before computers, right? What I kind of miss and I remember is whoever had information ruled. Right, because you didn't have CoStar, you didn't have Crexy, you didn't have all that stuff. I had 3-ring binders with pages of properties, right? And you got that by going down to the county. And I know, I sound like an old man saying this, but it really was. If you had the data, like you were the man, because people just didn't have it. I kind of miss those days.
And it was tough to get. I mean, I remember when I started, I would take, I had the coolest thing in the world, which was a digital camera that could hold 99 photos, and I would go up and down the streets on Saturdays and Sundays and take photos of every single building until I had 99. Then I'd go back down to the office, and then, actually I had to wait till Monday to go to the county building to look up the county records to get the PIN number. Yeah, I mean, that's not, I mean, yeah, that's 25 years ago or 24 years ago, but that's really not that long ago, when you think about it. I mean, whenever I'm out and I'm talking to an owner and they're like, yeah, this thing was built in 2002. I'm like, bro, it's brand new. And they look at me like, it's 23 years old, man. 23 years old.
It does feel like a new property.
Yeah.
But I mean, too, like I used to, and I feel like it's going away because data is so easily available. You can pull up CoStar, you can pull up whatever on your phone, where you don't have to memorize it like you used to. I used to remember the name of every property, how many units, what year was built, who owned it. Like I knew that of every property in our market. And now, because I don't have to memorize it, because it's so easy to just pull up my phone and look it up, you just kind of lose that habit of remembering it. It kind of sucks. I mean, I was hiring a new junior broker recently, and I told him, I said, when I first got started, I made index cards of every property, and I want you to do that too. And he kind of looked at me like, what? Why would I do that? I was like, man, because you learn the properties. And I don't think he liked it, but it's true. I mean, you learn the properties. I learned them really good that way.
You do. I mean, and in places like Chicago, we're on a grid system. So exactly where the different number streets are, east and west, north and south, as it's from the lake. You don't really know that unless you're out there driving up and down the streets and looking at it. And again, I mean, you can Google Earth everything and Google Maps it and go up and down the streets, but you can't smell the bakery on the street. You can't smell the water treatment plant. If one's near an apartment complex, you can't feel that kind of stuff, right? And I don't know. Now that you can get, I mean, you can get up to speed on a market in an hour, right? I can go to Yardi Matrix, CoStar, Real Capital Analytics, and I can figure out exactly to the number of units, how many units, what the rents are, where things are located, but you don't get the nuance if you go into a new area. You don't understand. I mean, when we went down into the Carolinas, you have to understand the polybutyl piping, and how that can just, destroy a property from the inside out. You don't know that until you move into that market.
Each market has their own little nuances like
yeah,
that.
yeah. But like you said, Dirk, it's like, the younger generation that can have an instantaneous database like day one. You have all the names, you have all the properties, but you don't have the feel of the neighborhood. You don't because you can tell a good location or a desirable location when you're standing there.
You can't see it on Google Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
That's
brick
why
walls are the same, right?
That's why NACL's what's called Map Room so popular. It's bringing old school to new school, or new school to old school, whatever. One of the ways.
It's combined. Yeah, it's combining both.
Yeah, and people want to go see it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very low tech, but it's cool.
What do you guys think that will be like? So, I mean, because information now becomes fairly ubiquitous, right? I mean, as far as like information, what becomes before information was king? What's going to be new? Like, what's going to be the thing? Is going to be the nuance of the information, kind of like you said, Reid, is kind of like knowing is it going to be synthesizing the information? Like, what do you kind of see the next iteration of that being, moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, why does this information matter to whoever you're talking to? You can sit there and tell everybody the stats and the information, but it's like, why does that matter to me? Is basically what everybody on the other end of the phone or other end of the computer is thinking about, right? So with the fact that you can have all of this information at your fingertips, now you just have to organize it in a way that makes sense quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, or how can you use that data in a way other people can't, right? Because I'm always looking at that and looking at the data that's available, and I'm like, it's incredible what we have available, but what do you do with it? Like, how do you use it? How do you take advantage of it in a way that somebody else isn't?
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we all coach brokers around the country, from the top firms down to the local boutique firms, and I'm always amazed. And I only coach multifamily guys and girls, and I'm amazed at the amount of information that a lot of the members that I coach have that don't use. They have all this information. I'm like, so, are you like opening this up on your screen and looking at this while you're going through a property and talking to them? Do you have Yardi? It's crazy the amount of people that have Yardi Matrix that don't use it. That's one of the systems that they have at their fingertips, and it's not cheap.
What's even crazier though is, and not just apartments, but any commercial real estate. And I hate to say this because I'm not a fan of that. They've monopolized it. But how does anybody do commercial real estate without CoStar? I mean, I've met several people that are like, I don't have it. I'm not paying for it. I'm like, well, how? Like, how? Like, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's become such a monopoly. Like, how do you go without it?
I mean, there are certain systems, if you're not using it, you might as well be doing something different, and CoStar is a necessary evil for a majority of people out there.
I don't know anybody that says I don't know anybody that says I absolutely love it, but most people are like, yeah, I mean, you got to have it, But what I will say is, what I've always said is because you're right, like they're not always right, but they're consistently wrong. And what I mean by that is, like, the trends, you can count on the trends, but you don't go and say, hey, this property is this rent, or this, was this sales price, whatever. But they're consistently wrong. So when they say things went up 2.5% or down 3.4%, it's usually right.
Consistent across the board. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, you have to have, I mean, we have 4 or 5 different systems that we use, and we aggregate it all into one centralized database. And then you have to have somebody that's able to sit there and understand when something's wrong and go check it against all the other systems and the county records. And
That's the biggest thing.
if you have somebody doing that and aggregating it all into one proprietary database that you are controlling, I think that's the difference right now. That'll be the difference, and that's the difference maker, is you creating your own data based on cross-checking all of the systems that you can buy like that, having your,
So that's like, and I may have showed you both this just over the years of working together, but like we have a bulletproof sales comp database that goes back to 2005, because that's whenever I got into the brokerage side, and it is bulletproof. Like there's not a sale missing. I mean, year after year after year, it's 25 units plus, and it has everything from just the basic data, the property information, the owner, the buyer, the seller, the average rents, the occupancy, the cap rate, the NOI, the mortgage. I mean, it has all of this. I mean, and it's bulletproof. And what when I hired an analyst to say, hey, you start tracking this stuff, I had to go in and show him no, you can't just count on what CoStar says. You got to cross-reference that with accounting, and you got to cross-reference that with other sources, and you got to make sure it's right. Don't trust it, verify it. And unless you do that, it's not accurate.
Dirk, where do you get that information? Like, I mean, I know like in Pennsylvania, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's not a public record, right? So it's one thing if you're the broker on it, right? Or you have a good client that's involved in the transaction. But let's say it's a competitive firm and you don't necessarily have like a known relationship with the buyer or seller. How do you go about kind of distilling that information down?
So luckily in Oklahoma, we're a disclosure state, right? And I think there's only like 3 states that are non-disclosure. But what I have seen more and more, there's entity sales, right? And they do an entity sale and it's not recorded. And so it's becoming harder and harder to get that data. But then it's a matter of calling the buyer or the seller. I mean, even if you don't know them, to me, it's a great reason to call. I mean, I call and I say, hey, Bryan, this is David with XYZ. The reason for my call is I noticed you bought such and such property. It's my job with our company to reach out to owners and see what your investment criteria is, blah, 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 right? And I'm asking them for information, and I'm approaching them from the premise of, hey, we may have stuff that fits your investment criteria. Tell me about this deal. Why did you buy this? What was the cap rate? What was, and I'm gathering that information, but I'm also gathering information about that person, right? To put it in my database and match them up with stuff. But I'm using that as well to just start filling out, my transaction history. And so, we're having to do that a lot more than we used to because of entity sales. Are you guys in disclosure states or non-disclosure?
Yeah, we're disclosure.
Have you seen a rise in? Go ahead. What were you, Bryan? What are you guys?
No, I was just gonna. When you say disclosure state, right? What do you mean by that, Dirk? Because I mean,
so like when you file the deed, like in Oklahoma, when you file a deed, you have to file doc stamps, and the doc stamps are based on the purchase price, and so it basically tells the county what the purchase price is. Now, what we also have seen more recently, and I say more recently, the last several years, is people are filing 85% of what the sales price is and saying, well, 85% is real estate and 15% is personal property, and it keeps their taxes low. And so that's where it takes some more digging, and you look at it and say, does that sales price make sense? What was the mortgage? And you kind of, I mean, you got to use some, investigative work, and then again, calling the people. But disclosure state is simply they have to record what the price was.
See, ours is interesting because most of ours are entity transactions. Now there is transfer stamps, but if you file, like you'll see most of our deeds are for $1, right? And then what they do is they take the current assessed value multiplied that by that year's common level ratio and do a computed value. And I would say that's probably 95% of our commercial transactions. Residential, yes, you could figure. I mean, residential as in single family homes, it's easy to find because everybody just records it. But you pretty much have no public data available for anything that's of a commercial nature.
Yeah, it was interesting when I came to your symposium, the multifamily symposium, and the guy was talking about the entity sales, how different it was, in Pennsylvania as it is to like Oklahoma. I mean, it just the way they did the entity sales was kind of backwards. Like on an entity sale, like in Oklahoma, if you do an entity sale, there is no doc stamp because according to like in the county's eyes, it never traded hands. So you can transfer from one entity to another if it's a related entity, and I forget what the term is, but it's essentially exempt from doc stamps, and that's what they do. So essentially, and it's a drop and swap, similar to what you guys do, but if I want to buy a property and I don't want it to get reassessed and I don't want anybody to know, then I buy 100% ownership interest in your LLC. Where in Pennsylvania, you have to actually record that, even if it's me transferring it to myself in a different entity. From what I understand in Pennsylvania, you have to record that, right? You have to like put doc stamps on it or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, so if you transferred it from Dirk LLC to Dirkschneider LLC, they're taking their pound of flesh and transfer stamps there, even though you're the same owner.
In Oklahoma,
underneath.
they don't. In most states,
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, Reid's doesn't sound like in
I
Illinois
mean,
they do either.
The reason a lot of groups try to do entity stamped, or I mean entity purchases here, is to just basically circumvent all of that, right? All the only way that works though is if you don't record the sale, and that's a little dangerous. And you also can't you can't do a 1031 exchange if you're buying entities either.
Well, you can.
But you can, yeah, because a
don't-
lot of people think
Don't
that.
record the sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's complicated, but you can. In fact, I've got one that's closing this month that is, and done several where it's an entity sale and you record it. It'd take me 20 minutes to sit here and try to remember how to walk you through it, but you can.
But that's not after hours conversation, Dirk.
No.
No.
Yeah. It's
especially
complicated,
when
but
one of
it
us
can be
is
done.
like 25 minutes late to start our recording. I'm not
I know.
mentioning any names.
No,
but
no names mentioned.
no.
And some of us are a couple drinks in. If we didn't mention the after hours includes having a beverage of choice.
What's in the glasses tonight, boys?
I'm a vodka soda guy.
You're classy. I see what you said. Oh, a little
Bullet bourbon.
I've got the scotch over here. I've got a little Glenmoe action happening. So
I used to like scotch. I went through this phase where I drank a lot of scotch and I liked it. It was good. Now, if I get a scotch, I mean, I just can't stand the taste. In fact, sometimes I go to a bar or something and I ask for a bourbon. It's usually at like some sort of a charity event or something like that where the bartenders just don't know. And I ask for a bourbon and they give me a scotch and I go to take a big drink and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's scotch and bourbon are so different.
now, I mean, is it all now? Because like scotches has the distinct regions and they are different, right? Like you go to the Islas, you're gonna like heavy peat. You go to the Highlands, right? I feel like it's pretty smooth and enjoy it. But is it all Scotch or is it certain?
Yeah,
certain
there's just I don't know what the flavor is or how to describe it. There's a certain flavor about scotch that I just don't like anymore. Again, I used to love it. I used to drink it all the time. But there's just I don't know. It's more of an aftertaste. That's what it is. That it leaves in my mouth, and I don't like it. But I can drink Bullet bourbon day and night. I love Bullet. It's good.
There were so many comments I wanted to make there, but I want to try to keep like our podcast rating like somewhat like I don't want us to get like banned
Good
the first
choice.
week, so I'll just leave. I'll leave those go.
My kids used to call my bourbon beer. They said Dad likes to drink beer, and they finally, now that they're a lot older, my youngest is 13. Now they know, especially my older son. He likes Bullet.
Yeah. Would you regular bourbon or the rye?
I like the bourbon.
Bourbon. All right.
Rye's okay, but I like the bourbon. In fact, what I make is I make an old fashioned Bullet bourbon, and then I have a simple syrup that's made out of brown
this
sugar.
Dude, came ready.
Hardcore, man.
Well,
Hardcore.
so my son's got a baseball game tonight. My wife went there because originally I thought she was going to be here, and I was like, "Hey, you got to make sure when I text you, bring me a drink." She's like, "I'm not going to be there," and so she actually made me this little setup over here. And it's pretty cool. But it's brown sugar for the simple syrup, and then there's this mixture that I get on Amazon. I got it one time at a grocery store, I think. Bar Smith, just a splash of that. I'm telling you, it is amazing. I go to the best restaurants, and it's hard to find someone that makes a better old fashioned than that.
Hey, Barsmith, just saying we don't have any sponsors yet. Just putting it out there.
There you go. I would love it if they sponsored us.
Isn't that right out there? See, the problem with old fashions and whiskey, though, is I drink it like it's a mixed drink.
What's wrong with
that?
that?
Gets you in trouble. that gets you in trouble. So I stopped drinking those a long time ago.
I don't know, man. Every time I've seen you had a couple drinks, your dance moves get better and better. Is all I'm gonna say.
You know, I think I busted out the speed skater when we were out at NMHC.
It may have happened.
That's the move, man.
I think Dirk
We're
went
gonna
to
have to
bed
do an
before that happened.
I know. I chickened out that night, and I regret it. I really did genuinely regret it. I'm like, why did I told my wife the next day? I was like, why did I go back and go to bed? I said that was a great opportunity to hang out with some good friends, and I said, and I went to sleep like an old man.
Look,
Dude, I had the Irish goodbye from the club because at 3 a.m. because I had a 5 a.m. flight. So that was a long flight home. Yeah. So
you know, there was never a time that I went to bed that I was like, man, I wish I would have gone out. I can't think of one time
That you wish you
There's
wouldn't
plenty
have
of-
gone out or would have.
that I wish that I did go out. When I get up in the morning, like if I went to bed at
The
10
next
o'clock,
morning.
get up in the morning, I'm like, damn, I wish I would have gone out and had like 14 drinks. There's never a time, you know, it's like there was only one time in my life that it's kind of the other way around, like working out. You never end a workout and say, man, I wish I didn't do that today.
That's a good point there.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Although
saying?
I'll tell you, I regretted not going out that night. I was like, man,
Oh,
I missed out.
Yeah, a
Especially
little
afterwards,
FOMO.
I hear the stories, and I'm like, man,
I didn't
Next year.
send you the videos. I have some videos of that night.
I didn't get the videos. You got to send them. Next year we'll do it. Next year we're gonna need to coordinate to stay at the same hotel. Make it easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you already get the room for next year?
No, I didn't. Actually, I need to do that. I used
should
to
we
always
get
get it a year in advance.
Should we get a block? I mean, should we just get a block like with our rooms next to each other? That could be dangerous.
You know what? Well, did you get a suite again, Reid?
Got the suite again, and one of the other guys in my office got like called up, and he thinks he got the last one, and that was a month and a half ago.
I'll bet you they because even this year they had. I mean, everybody said they were sold out, but they had them up till close to. I remember the first year that I went to Vegas. I literally got it the night they announced that it was going to Vegas, and I got it, and I got it for so much cheaper because I got it like a year in advance. But I do regret. I need it. The suites there are pretty cool.
Because you actually when you got yours, Reid, you share it with your business partner, right?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they have two.
You guys
full,
use it like crazy though too.
Yeah.
It's not just a go to sleep. You have meetings there and take
yeah,
full advantage
there's
of it.
two wings of the place, right? Well, you saw it. They're separate suites, and then you have the living room, dining room, bar, and it gets everybody from the hustle and bustle a little bit to go up there.
We've got to do an episode there and then go out afterwards and pay someone to follow us around with a camera and make it like a
Let's
action
do it.
video.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hey Dirk,
I mean,
if you find
fun.
a suite, man, let me know. I might split it with you. You know, we can
I would do
share
that.
the wings.
I'll look and see.
Yeah, we could have we could set up the podcast studio and just do a bunch of recordings there for the week, and Reid can come
great
over
idea,
for the after hour
Yeah.
special.
It's a great idea.
You know,
So-
when I bartended in college, and that was like the year I bartended in college was the year that they brought out apple pucker. Remember apple pucker back in the day?
Yeah.
We would just stand on top of the bar in college and pour it in people's mouth.
I
was-
remember my freshman year, like actually, I think I drank like a whole bottle of that, which is, and I think I had a buzz. So
Yeah, right. You probably barely got a buzz from that
yeah,
stuff.
I think I still have diabetes from it, but I mean,
That or it's like 99 bananas. I drank that when I got
99
sick.
bananas.
I can't drink it again after that. Like,
Yeah.
Did you guys have flaming Dr. Peppers in college?
I've heard of that,
You-
but I've never had one.
It was amaretto topped with 151. They would light it on fire, and then you would drop it into a lager beer and drink the whole thing. So
I can see Reid as a bartender. You just make a
Totally.
good bartender.
It was fun, man. I learned magic tricks, entertain people. Well, you're talking about the 151 floater on that. They used to light it on fire. And
Yep.
so I went to Iowa, and everybody in Iowa, I don't know why they were doing this, but you would suction cup your hand to the top, and the fire would burn out the oxygen, and it would suction cup to your hand, and you'd shake up the shot like just like this without touching it, and then slam it down and open it up. And one night I was like, I just don't want to drink that tonight. And so somebody's like, come on, man, you got to do it. So I I thought it was so smart to let the 151 burn off the alcohol. But what I
And then
didn't
put it on.
realize was it was heating up that rim so hot that when I did do that thing, it burned
Ooh.
a whole rim into my hand. That I had that for the next week and a half, and I had to explain that to people when I would see them with this burned ring.
Like, hi.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
This is why Reid doesn't regret going to bed.
I never regret going to bed. In fact, my goal these days is just try to be in bed before the sun's down. I haven't made that. It's tougher in the winter, but I'm trying to do that in the
I was gonna say in the summertime here in Pennsylvania. I mean, I get up pretty early. There's often times I'm in bed before the sun goes down. Definitely, yeah. 9 o'clock, is kind of wrap up time in the house because the alarm starts going off between 4 and 5 in the morning. So it's time to wrap it up. So
See, I'm a night person. Like, it's hard for me. Like, I have a hard time going to bed at night. Like, I don't like, and I think it's the opposite whenever, because I used to be in the Marine Corps, right? And I had to get up early all the time, and I did that for so long, I just can't stand it anymore. And so now, like, I like to sleep in, and I stay up and hate to go to bed. And so I would say the average night, I usually go to bed midnight to 1 o'clock, and then I usually get up like 6:30 or something like that. And so 6:30, 7. It depends on what we have in the morning, school, kids, whatever.
that's not a lot of sleep, Dirk. I mean, that's.
I used to be good with like 4 hours of sleep. I was good. Now I need to get like 6, and I'm good.
I tell you what, I got a lot of energy, but man, I have to have sleep. 7.5 minimum, or I just don't function. So
same.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more I need, though. I just have a hard time going to sleep. So I'll switch topics. I saw something on the news today that was a big deal. Reid is the number 12 social media influencer in the world.
Yeah, I saw that.
I wish I knew how to use my sound effects machine. Because
did you see that he was upset because he dropped out of the top 10?
From 10.
Dropped out of the top 10. Yeah.
10, dropped 10. Yeah.
Although I will say, I mean, top 10's not a big deal. Even 11 would be fine, because 11. When I looked on 11, maybe it was just the page I was
First
on.
page has 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, man, top 12 is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. I actually slacked this year. I slacked a little bit. We ran a couple challenges. We were trying to get. I did the Yona Weiss challenge. I don't know if you guys have ever done that.
I haven't done it, but I've heard about it from you.
Yeah, his what he did to start. I mean that really got me understanding how to.
I remember that was what really kicked you off on it.
Yeah. I mean, and you'll gain like 1,000 connections in those.
What is that, Reid?
So he does this thing called CRE 10 days, where it's all people from all across the country that are in all every facet of commercial real estate, and you get together and what started out as like 30 people ended up being it's probably 200-300 people now that he has to split them up into groups, but basically you learn from everybody that's in your little group what to post, and then you're also engaging with them, because that's the big thing in LinkedIn is the engagement. So if you put something out there, I mean, most of the time you're not going to get any. When you're just starting out, you get no engagement, no likes, you have no following. But so this helps people start, interacting with your posts. And
so do people that are in that challenge, do they intentionally try to interact with each other, or does that have anything to do with it?
Yes. Yeah, I mean that's really that's the purpose of it, is to learn from each other.
When does he do that? Like, when is that like usually kick off?
He does it like twice a year. He does it twice a year. I'll let you know the next time if I hear about it.
I'd be interested in that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just 2 weeks, weekdays, so it's 10 days really, Monday to Friday.
If there was only 2 other people on this call that could like my post, it would just make me feel so much better.
Yeah, hey. I'll try to figure it out. I'll get on it.
Because I mean, Reid, I'll give you the benefit. In fact, on my coaching calls, I use your LinkedIn all the time. Like I use it on how to do it. You know, like, I mean, because I feel bad because I show them mine and I'm like, I kind of do some posts, but man, this guy's got it down. And I mean, you come up with some really off the wall, interesting stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I mean, and that's what I mean. I'm curious how you do that. Like, what makes you think of? I see this, and I'm going to turn it into this funny post. I mean, is it the bartender in you just cracking jokes?
Well, I think it's for the first, so I took it was a LinkedIn CCIM class in 2008.
Okay.
That's back in the day, right? They had no clue what I mean, it still was better than 90% of what people were doing, but I was posting links. I'd read an article about multifamily and post it. And
which is what most people do.
So most
they
people
find
do.
a leak. They maybe write a short little blurb and they put a link to Globe Street, right?
Yeah.
or something
so
like that.
So that's the worst thing you can do is post links. Because,
which I do that.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
Because you can't post it in the body, right? So the link, if you're gonna share the link,
learn that from you
in the comments below.
Yeah.
You post the link in the body, the LinkedIn algorithms crush it because they don't want you leaving LinkedIn, right? They want you staying on and scrolling and looking at the ads and that kind of stuff.
I've heard that in
Makes
the past.
sense.
I heard that's changed recently, Reid. I don't know if you've seen anything. Because I did hear that before. It was always put it in the comments, but I've heard that's kind of been reduced, but I'm not sure if that's true. I have nothing to back that up or not. I have no idea.
It might be, and I'm trying to remember because we did a challenge at our firm nationally, and we brought on somebody from LinkedIn and asked a bunch of questions. I don't remember if she actually addressed that, but
which it makes sense because I mean they don't want you to go off their website.
Correct. But the other thing that's funny is if you and I are like with Yona, for example, he came into Chicago one time to a multifamily event, and I was coming back from a property tour, and I drove just to meet him in person. So I stopped off. I had got a picture with him, and I said, some people want to go see Grant Cardone. Some people want to see Alex Rodriguez at real estate conferences. I go to see Yona Weiss. And I posted that picture, and it got like 80,000 impressions, right?
Jeez.
So I'm like, I'm going to try to go off of this and like capitalize on this. So 2 weeks later, I just reposted my own post and tagged Yona again in it. He goes, watch, you probably might not even get 200 impressions. I got like 197.
Why?
Posting within LinkedIn, a LinkedIn post. So, I mean, zero visibility. So you never want to repost people's.
I didn't know that. I did that often too.
I just reposted a bunch of Dirk stuff. I mean, no wonder. I thought people just didn't like what Dirk had to post. That's why I didn't get any likes.
There's a little both. A little both.
Yeah, a little both.
No, but I mean, what I've noticed is if you watch people that get a lot of interaction and activity, and you see how they post, and you kind of learn a little bit about the way they post, and a majority of it, like most people say, here's our listing, and they put the real estate brokers, here's our listing, here's our closing, and they put the one slide up there. Nobody cares if you say like a deal story, what happened, things, here's, we went up against this issue. We found out it was on a brown site. It blew up the deal.
That never died.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So if you say a story about it and then post that picture, it gets a ton more engagement because people want to hear a story. But even better is to try to be like, really just subtle about your stuff. We're all multifamily brokers, rather than saying, we just listed a 250 unit deal down. Nobody cares, right? But if you are saying, this is after hours. So I walked through, it was a 100 unit Section 8 deal that we were selling. And we walked through with the buyer every single unit of that one plus two other deals in the same day. It took about 12 and a half hours to do it. And we walked into there were 3 stripper poles in the living rooms of some of these units. And one of them, I took a picture of it and I said, this is we just came back from a 359 unit portfolio that we're selling. And this is the third time I've seen this. and you just post that picture, right? And people love that stuff, and they start talking about it, and people are saying, yeah, I think that's just a support beam in the middle of the room. And, it's just, yeah, you have to be funny because otherwise people don't care. I mean, people
I
don't
should
care.
have thought of that. I
People don't-
ran into the same situation, not 3, but 1, not even 2 weeks ago, and I just didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I've got, that's what Reid,
Wait,
you're
you
really
ran
good
into
at.
an apartment with a stripper pole too?
Yeah. You've never seen one? You got to get out of this Class A stuff.
Boys. I'm sorry.
I'm in the
sorry.
wrong market.
You're in the Class A stuff. You're like,
Yeah.
you got to do workforce housing.
Yeah, you
But
got to
then,
drop down. You got to drop down in class.
I mean, it's funny because I see stuff walking, and I say it joking around to other apartment brokers or apartment owners, like, oh, some of the stuff we see sometimes walking units. I just got to get in the habit of saying when I see that, like, man, that's a great idea. Let's post it.
I mean, and that's. I wish I had. I mean, back in the day, we were walking in the basement of one on the south side of Chicago, and the owner opens up the basement door, and somebody was hanging. They were trying to rip the copper piping out. They were hanging from it and trying to pull. I mean, how much can you get for copper these days?
Listen, I don't like the fact that you're bothering a guy while he's clearly just trying to do pull-ups,
do some
and
exercise,
make better himself.
You know what? It was. Yeah, we actually did show that as an amenity. It was a gym.
Yeah. Look how strong these copper pull-up bars are.
That's it. So I mean, if you could have that kind of stuff, but no, one of the fun ones. There was a guy, and Dirk, I think I shared this with you. This was when we were like three. I think there were 375 basis point hikes by the Fed, back to back to back, at one point. And I was walking around my neighborhood, walking my dog, and the tree trimmers were trimming, and there was the tree trimmer went down. And so the guy is inside. You know how they have the little flaps, like you're going into a like a car wash to get into that tree, the wood chipper.
Yeah.
This guy has half of his body inside of that, fixing it. And so I take a picture of that and I say, here's all the multifamily owners that are looking at cash in refis, on their deals. It's like you just start like thinking of things like that, and then people start talking about it. I don't know. It's more fun to do those, and it's more fun to comment on those than even like Dirk said, like number 12 on the whatever list. It's like nobody cares if you get an award and you're holding your award. Nobody cares about that. People will say good job, and you have to post that stuff just to show it. But
well, it's a mixture of all that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because at the end of the day, you still want to post your, for sale, just listed, that stuff, because you're trying to do business, right? I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's why we're doing this.
exactly.
But that's not what garners the attention. That's not what gets people to follow you and to like you and all that. It's the other stuff. But then you put that in there too, and it, and people see it.
keeps
you
it,
get
keeps it
activity.
alive.
I'm curious, do you use the fact that you have a big social media following, like on your pitches?
Yeah, we've started to use that.
I would. I mean,
Yeah.
100% I would.
Yeah,
especially
when
you get ranked in, in how you are in social media influencers and commercial real estate. I'd be all over that in my pitch.
Yeah, because when it boils down to it, it's like how many eyeballs can you get on their property, right? And so
Exactly.
if you can show that you have 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, 50,000 followers, and a majority of those are commercial real estate folks, and a majority of those are owners, operators, managers of apartment buildings or whatever niche you're in, and then when you start showing impressions, because now you never could see the impressions before, at least I never even cared about it. But when you can show that you're getting, 1 million to 2 million impressions a year, that's just extra. I mean, it's not taking the place of what we do, right? But it's putting it out there.
It supplements it.
Yeah, it supplements what you're doing. It's kind of like the AI stuff that we're all going through with, listing launchers and whatnot. It's something that's operating in the background to draw in eyeballs that you wouldn't normally think to call or have in your database.
It's a differentiator.
Have you done anything in pitches where you're actually developing like a social media campaign for a property?
I mean, we'll share what we put out on social media, and here's how we're going to share this. And, sometimes we'll, there's a couple companies that do fantastic, videography where they take the drone videos and they come down and then they zoom out and they show, if you're in a secondary or tertiary market, it pops back out, like Dirk, if you're in Oklahoma City, it'll go back out and show you the proximity to Dallas and, all the other areas, which are,
I think Reid just took a shot at both of our markets, by the way, Dirk.
I did,
He's just
because I was thinking, like, most people look at how close Dallas is. I know most people look at how close Dallas is to Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that. Look, hey, I'm sitting in Chicago, but the vast majority of what we do is in secondary and deep tertiary markets, because we bring the Chicago groups, and we call it chasing yield, right? So we're leaving the primary markets and we're going 2, 3, 4 hours outside where you can chase yield, as long as you understand that, again, the nuance of the local markets. You can open up and you can crush it, because we've brought groups that only operated in Chicago into areas that are 2 hours outside of Chicago, where it was all mom and pop run stuff that, probably the best marketing they did was on like Craigslist. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if you come in and you bring a primary market management style to a secondary or tertiary market, you can mop it up.
Institutional quality to secondary market.
That's it. You can mop it up.
I have a joke about Craigslist, just as a random thing, is anytime my wife, somebody asks my wife and I where I met, I always say Craigslist. She hates that joke.
Did you get a 2 for 1?
Is Craigslist even around anymore? Is this still? I mean,
I don't even know. I haven't about Craigslist until I just mentioned it, but I mean, that's.
I think it is, because I think I remember apartment, because
I'm checking,
like, for apartments, checking like advertising. I think they advertise still on Craigslist. I started thinking, because talking to apartment owners, like, one of the biggest sources of tenants is Facebook, and then I could have swore they said Craigslist too.
Really?
It's up and running. I just got on the Craigslist Pittsburgh, guys.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean,
interesting.
Are you guys still using Google for your search engine? I've switched over.
Yeah.
I've switched over to ChatGPT for my search engine.
For any search you do?
Everything.
I thought about that, but I hadn't. Yeah.
It's way better.
Probably smart.
I like Google. I still use Google now because it actually gives the AI summary at the beginning, right? So kind of like, like it's kind of got, I think, Gemini or whatever they're using that has the summary at the beginning. But I'm not taking full advantage. I use ChatGPT on a daily basis. Fully admit I'm one of those ones that reads a lot of articles, summarizes it, and posts it. But I use it a lot I probably use it 99% for summarization, right? Meeting transcriptions, dumping them in there, getting summaries out of them, things of that nature. But I haven't used it for just like normal Google. But I've heard a lot of people have, Reid. So
what's the coolest thing you guys have used AI for? When I say cool, it's like business-wise. It's after hours, so I just want to be clear there.
So one of the things I still do to this day, right? We're all in Massimo, and we do things right in Massimo called avatars, right? So we'll create our avatar. I actually do this with all my coaching clients now. I say, we go through and we have them describe their avatar. And then I'll go into, ChatGPT, what is it, Dahlia or whatever, and I take their description and I put it in and I let it spit back the image of what, and I like, it's just fun because it actually makes it say, it's like, this is what you described and this is kind of what an AI algorithm is saying. And it was kind of like, if you do it really well, like I do merchant builders, right? So I have one called Merchant Mike. And, go through like what cities they probably live in, what their, hobbies are, going all the way through. And it was pretty spot on. And then I've got another guy's like Scattered Site, Scattered Site Sam. And, I did it with him. And of course it shows him in his work boots in his garage, behind a pickup truck. And I was like, it's just kind of funny to see that kind of dichotomy.
Reid posted one of his, Reid did the same thing with Dolly, and he posted his avatar the other day.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's the one. It showed the Slacks and said, if this guy is your apartment number is recession proof, or what was it?
Yeah. Yeah. It was the pleated pants with the cuffs. That actually,
But they were like very baggy pleated pants with the
yeah.
cuffs. And what did the post say? It was
Said if this is your multifamily seller, you are not going to be able to come down on the purchase price from your listing.
Oh my gosh, that
And then
had me rolling.
somebody else made a comment on there like, if this is your boss, AI will not replace you at all. Don't worry about that at all, because he's not using AI. But
I'm just not using it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I use AI every day. I mean, I'm constantly summarizing things, or if I write an email, I'm changing it if it's an important one, or I'm trying to come up with ideas. But I've got to start using it more and thinking of better ways to implement it. Like, I mean, there's so much potential, and we've talked about this, the three of us, is like how can we do it? CRE launcher, like how can we really fully take advantage of it and harness it? And I mean, there's so many opportunities out there, but it's also, it's just sometimes it's so overwhelming. Like, I would like to hire a full-time IT person, and I don't mean IT like working on your computers and troubleshooting stuff, but IT as in like figuring out what is the best tools to use, how to implement it, doing all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think there's a future where not just apartment teams, but commercial real estate teams have a specific IT, AI, whatever you want to call it, person, and they are more than worth their salary.
hell yeah. I mean, and everybody's going to need that person too, because this stuff changes so fast. And, it's like, okay, I could have somebody tell me, here's all the different AI tools and what they do, and show you that. I mean, we had a guy at our national conference. I mean, everybody's mind was, oozing out of their ears after seeing all this stuff that you can do with it. And this guy ran through it as if it was nothing. But then it's like you get back and you're like, wait a minute, how did he do this and this and this and this and this? You like need somebody to tell you how to do it all, and then do it all for you, and then implement it. Because to me, like what we do, if we can have every single thing working behind the scenes where all we're doing is just talking on the phone all day long and going to meetings, that'd be ultimate.
That's my only concern with it, right? Is I think people think that it's this panacea to solve everything, right? And it's a tool to make us more efficient, right? And I think if we use the tool to make us more efficient, but at the end of the day, right, it's still right. It's the personal relationships. It's knowing somebody, an individual that you're going to be able to trust, to kind of execute, and then using the tools to make you the most efficient way possible.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'd say we could start a consulting group called AI Afterhours, but we might not be able to Google that.
I mean, there's a whole rabbit hole you can go down with that. I mean, and yeah, I really want to learn to harness it more and take advantage of it. But it's just, every time I dig into it, I'm just like, man, it's so over my head, like what to do next, like how to implement it.
That's why it's like, if you can just, I like to take like one or two things, when you watch these guys and girls that know this stuff, that speak on it. This guy, Jason Pantana, was fantastic. I would look him up. I came back and I implemented like 3 different things that he mentioned, like 50, right? And one of the main things is, and again, it's like simple. Well, it's simple things like we were talking about CoStar earlier. Rather than going into CoStar every single day and saying, search for these parameters to give me all the updates. If you had automatic updates coming, trying to automate your life as much as possible, where it's like anything that changes hands or deeds change, mortgages are out, anything that changes, I want that in my inbox every morning. And then I want to filter that into, not go through my inbox, go into a file that I can go in and just quickly look at that, rather than getting 500 emails and trying to figure that out. But one of the things was going into ChatGPT and saying, I want you to, there's a thing called tasks, right? Where you can say, scrape everything over the last 72
And
hours.
it does it daily, right?
It does it every day, and it's in your inbox whenever you want. You can say, I want to have it in my inbox. It's 7:00 in the morning. Everything that it scrapes over the last 72 hours associated with shopping centers in Illinois or whatever it is, whatever you want. So in us, it's multifamily apartments across the Midwest. And then I separated it out to market rate and affordable. And so I have three different emails that come in that'll keep you up to date and topics. And then you can ask it to organize it in a way that is going to be beneficial to the owners and operators that you're talking to.
The hard part, though, is because I did a similar thing. I created a task, and I said something along the lines of identify the best AI tools that have come out and how to implement them in my business or something like that. And I get this every day, and I get it, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. I mean, it looks like a lot of stuff. And then it's like, but it's so overwhelming that I just don't do it. You know what I mean? And I like your idea of like pick the top 3 things, or pick, and you can't do that every day because that'd be a lot. But once a week, pick the top 3 things you said. You know what? These are the top 3 things that had the most impact in my business, and let's implement those. Or even the top 1 thing every week.
I'm really curious if you ask ChatGPT to tell you the best AI tools, if it always says ChatGPT.
I'm gonna try that.
That'd be.
Have either of you signed up for the ChatGPT Pro, like the big one, not the $20 one, but the $200 one? Yeah.
No. I have the $20 one. Or what's the next version up? I mean, what is it doing right now that's supposed to be?
I looked into
the VIP. It's getting behind the velvet ropes, man.
It also like instead of making your stuff public,
just one level above.
Well, instead of making your stuff public, one of the things too is it remains private. So if you want to put
that's like
certain
the team
things on
version
there,
does that too. I know that, right?
And it takes it another level. Like I won't get into all the details on here, but like there's this app. Truly, like I'm a lake guy. Like I love going to the lake. I'm there in the summer. I'm there every weekend, and the winter I'm there 2 times a month. I just love being outside, being around the water. There's an app that I want to create that has to do with being around the lake, listening to music, and it'd be kind of fun. Me and my lake drinking buddies have we've had several drinks. We're like, this would be so cool. Let's do it. But it actually is a good idea. And so I've thought about signing up because I've looked into it, GPT Pro and Gemini Pro, whatever their version is. I can't remember what it's called. It can create apps. Like you can tell it, hey, this is what I want, and walk it through it. And it supposedly, again, I'm not an expert, but it supposedly creates the app for you. And so I thought about doing that and saying, let's see what it does. Let's try it out. And I got my 16-year-old too, and he's all about wanting to do this kind of stuff. Like he wants to create a drop shipping business, where he can, create a website and do this drop shipping, and that was one that GPT Pro, like, was supposedly this guy had a video online about how to do it and to basically automate it. And so, and this is a conversation I recently had with my son. I was like, I mean, dude, if you think you could create a business and doing it, like, I don't want to mess with it. I'm not trying to do that. But if you think you could do it, I'll pay for it.
Yeah. Get them started on the business path and like just understanding the whole business skills early. I mean, nothing wrong with that. So
I'll tell you, not just sure, but I'll brag on my son here for a minute. He isn't. I mean, he's like. Sometimes it's hard to get mad at him because he reminds me of me when he gets in trouble all the time. Like he looks like me, acts like me. But man, he is like an entrepreneurial kid. Like he's 16 years old, and we bought him a car. That was the only thing we said. We'll buy you a car. Don't bug us. Since then, he's bought and sold and bought and sold and bought and sold, and he's owned like 3 motorcycles. He's got a jet ski. He just bought a F-250 truck the other day. Like it's an older one, like it is like 78, but it's really cool. It's like jacked up, got a flatbed, like an old farm truck. I mean, he buys and sells and buys and sells. I mean, at 16, he's already owned like 3 or 4 cars, and
that's just from the one car you got him that he parlayed.
No, what I bought him is his very first thing, as I said, because I have a dirt bike and I wanted him to ride a dirt bike. I said, I'll split a dirt bike with you. I'll buy you a little 125. I'll put in, I think it was like $400, and I said, but you got to match it too. And so he saved up like $400, bought this little dirt bike. And so he bought it and he rode it for a little bit. And he was like, Dad, I got this guy online that'll trade me for this or this and this. And at first I was like, dude, why? We got fun. We have fun riding dirt bikes. Why do you want to do that? Please, Dad. And I let him do it. And then he parlayed that to another thing, and then traded it to another thing, and then traded it into two things. And then, and he keeps doing that. And I mean, it annoys me and my wife sometimes. We're like, oh my gosh, dude, leave me alone. You do your thing. But part of me is also like,
yeah,
pretty freaking good, dude. Like, good job.
That's cool to learn that early.
Awesome.
Yeah, at 16, I'm like, that's why I have a hard time getting on to him, because they're kind of proud of him.
Well,
awesome.
I got a question for us as we hit the hour mark, which I know we try to keep them to. Is what should be our theme music for Apartments After Hours?
Oh man, who did we see in Vegas?
Oh, what? Oh,
See, I told you I should have gone out.
I was thinking something more like the Red Shoe Diaries theme music from back in the day. This is After Hours, boys. I feel like I got to get a deeper voice too. I just got to start talking like a little like Barry White. You know what I'm saying?
Like the interesting man in America.
There was a what's it called, the late night DJ. Oh, it was what's that book about negotiation?
Chris Voss.
Chris Voss.
Yeah.
Late night DJ voice.
Late night FM DJ voice.
So that's where I've got this mixer. I need to learn to use it, because that's when you put the sound thing on and you do the late night DJ.
Oh yeah. What's what was the name of your bitters or your simple syrup there that you're using, Dirk?
Barsmith.
Barsmith. So this is Apartments After Hours, sponsored by Barsmith.
By Barsmith. We'll reach out to him.
Yeah. Well, all right, boys. Well, let's do this again. Since we had to push this a week, we'll do this again in 3 weeks and hit it up again.
Sounds good, guys.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody joining, and make sure to like everybody's LinkedIn post tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Go vote for Reid. Let's get him number 10 within top 10 next year.
Next time, then.
Let's do it.
I just stopped it, but it'll read. It was fun, boys.
It was.
So, yeah. I try to keep it to an hour or so. All right. I was late. Yeah. Yeah, because we'll have more shit to talk about too. Yeah. So I got to do a flight lesson early in the morning. That's why I'm going to bed. So I'm going to go fly a plane early and then start my apartment day. So, all right, boys. Later, guys.